Hello, everyone. Once again to Cave to the Cross Apologetics. I'm Patrick.
I'm Tony.
And hopefully you've joined us for our new book. We've done one half of the first part of Why Should I Believe Christianity by our good author, Dr. James Anderson, who's going to teach us about presuppositional apologetics without using all the big words like presuppositional and maybe even apologetics.
Well, he might use them, but
he might, yeah. And so we've kind of been talking about what is truth. Why should we believe true things? Because they're true.
Why should we believe anything, right? So that's how he kind of starts off this chapter, right? Mm-hmm. Why should we believe anything, right? And the idea that he gets is because, well, we shouldn't unless we have good reasons to believe something, right? And we believe things because they are true, right? And so we should have good reasons to believe that things are true, right? Now, it really doesn't give us a definition of truth, but the standard definition that's usually used, and I think we can grasp from how he's using it, is that truth that corresponds to reality, right? What is true, a statement is true if it corresponds to the actual state of affairs, if it corresponds to reality. That's what we define truth as, right? And so I think that's what his definition of truth is, what he's getting at here, right? And
so we kind of already looked at kind of relativism as the opposite of objective truth. Something that subjective truth says that, you know, what's true for me isn't necessarily true for you. It's dependent on my personal value, my cultural biases, where I'm standing at certain time, place, location type deal. But objective truth has the complete opposite effect. Right. And in fact, saying that all truth is relative is an objective truth within that world.
Which means that it defeats itself, right? Yeah, so he moves from, in general, why should we believe, to the question, why should we believe Christianity? And he puts that on hold for a minute, and he kind of deals with these other kind of issues, right? Relativism is the first one that raises its ugly head.
And so we're on the section called "Who Can Really Know?"
So this is skepticism.
Yeah. Right? So relativism is one way to dismiss religious truth claims, and another way is skepticism.
Yeah.
The skeptic says, even if some religious claims are objectively true, no one can really know whether those claims are actually true. So skeptics are doubters. And you see this when people say, sure, there might be this omnibenevolent God, he's all-powerful, but he's so far above us that there's no way he could even fathom communicating to us. It's like us yelling at an amoeba on the microscope. Hey, go right. No, it didn't really work. Again, that's creating a straw man for who God is, who we are. It bypasses all the truth claims that Christianity, Judaism, even Muslims believe about who God is. Now those conflict with each other, and so we want to find the best truth, as in the correct one, because we want to know true things, not just things that help us survive only. To believe that that's the only case, then allows us just to have survivability belief. It's not even, does 2 + 2 = 4 really? Well, it doesn't really matter. Does it help you survive? That's
right. Yeah. So I like what he's doing here, because what he's doing is building a foundation, right? He's the first, real basic type things that you need to build on, right? What is, why should I believe anything? Why should I believe Christianity, right? So, because there's good reasons to believe. That's why if there aren't good reasons to believe, then you shouldn't believe, right? That's what he said. And so, and then, okay, well, what about why, or because it's true, right, is what he's saying, really, and there's reasons to believe that it's true. Well, is truth relative? What about relative truth? Well, again, if you claim that all truth is like that, you have problems, right? And so he's dealt with that. Now he's talking about, and this is a really basic issue, how can I know something, right? How can I know, or can I really know, right? And if you ask that question, he says you're a skeptic. And so he tells us that he wants to say a few words about what it means to know something, right? So we've already gotten the idea of why we should believe things. We should believe things because they're true and we should have good reasons to believe that they're true. Now we want to know, okay, well, how do we know things, right? And so he wants to clear away a few more. This is another misunderstanding, right? He says he often comes across people who think that in order to know something, you must have absolute, knockdown, drag out, infallible, irrefutable certainty about it, right?
Wow.
Otherwise, you can't know it.
What does that look like? And so he says, but the mere possibility of being mistaken isn't a good reason to deny that I know what I think I know. You don't need to know something infallibly in order to know it. And so, what does that mean? I need Cartesian certainty. I need to have, it's not even beyond a reasonable doubt. It's just have no doubt whatsoever.
Yeah. Absolute certainty. Yeah.
And we're still trying to figure out if we exist. Descartes goes into
we're in the Matrix.
Yeah, into a cabin for 3 days and brings about the modern world by just saying, I think, therefore I am. All right, let's go with that.
Yeah. So what's more, he says, it can be reasonable to believe something even if you wouldn't say that you know it's true.
Ooh.
Right? So that's an amazing claim. So it's reasonable to believe something even if you wouldn't say that you know it's true. So what's he mean by here? Well, he gives us as an example here. He says, for instance, I wouldn't say I know that it will be sunny tomorrow, right? He wouldn't say that he knows that.
Right.
But based on the weather over the last few days and the fact that 3 independent weather forecasters have made the same prediction, I think it's reasonable to believe that it will be sunny tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, he doesn't know it, but he thinks that it's reasonable to believe based on the facts, the reasons that he has to believe it, right? And so he says, even if we don't know that some claim is true, we can still have good reasons to believe it.
Right. Let's take an even more basic assumption. The sun will rise tomorrow. Well, I guess.
Do you know that?
Yeah, I guess at some point the world could stop and halt. It was,
how about a huge sun flare that consumes the earth?
Oh, yeah.
Now it's not going to rise because there's nothing to rise about.
Yeah, it's going to wink out of existence.
Yeah, we are, right?
Yeah, it's taken away. It's been repossessed. We haven't made our payments on it. But can we have good reasons to believe that it's true?
Yeah, we have good reason to believe that the sun will rise tomorrow. So we can sigh, and relax.
For those of us in the the northeast part, maybe we forget what the sun looks like half the year, but it's there. I swear, I promise.
So he tells us, about this healthy skepticism.
Yeah, he says that you may have heard it suggest that we should approach everything with a healthy skepticism. And Mitch Stokes talked about this. He said, it's not just to be a skeptic, it's to be a sober skeptic. That's what he pushed. Yeah. The idea is that our default position should be one of doubt towards any belief or claims.
Right. So no matter what it is, my first inclination is to doubt it, right? To be skeptical about whether or not it's true, right?
Right. So your friend comes up to you, you know them well, and they said, that accident just happened outside. Come take a look. Well, I can't believe that.
Yeah, give me a good reason to believe that there was an accident. Yeah. Well, is that healthy? Right? That's the question, right?
So one problem with such a stance is that it's self-defeating. You'd have to start by doubting the claim that we should start by doubting any claim. So that,
so what?
Yeah. So the claim is you should start everything by doubting.
Right.
So I'm going to doubt that too.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow. Right.
So Descartes goes into his cabin and says, I'm going to throw away everything. I'm going to doubt everything possible. But he doesn't doubt his doubt. Okay. So he can never get off the ground. He can never start doubting because he would doubt the doubt.
That's right. He says you'd also have to doubt other things that are, that our healthy skeptic has to doubt, that they take for granted.
Yeah, you'd have to start all the way at square one all the time.
That's right. Every time, So you'd have to doubt your sanity. You'd have to doubt your ability to reason. You'd have to doubt even your own existence, right? So where does it end, right? And again, we call this healthy skepticism, but that sounds unhealthy.
Very unhealthy.
So he says there's nothing healthy about this radical form of skepticism. Our goal shouldn't be to doubt whatever we can. What's the goal? Well, it should be to examine our reasons for believing as we do.
Right.
Right? Not doubt everything. Right?
Although that seems to be kind of the it takes the spice out of the Twitter feeds and everything like that, is to want to doubt everything, and you have the best like ratio or something like that. That seems to be what drives a lot of it. As our author has stated earlier, he thinks that you can know that Christianity is true. That's what the whole book is trying to prove.
Right. So he thinks we can know that. Right. Yeah.
But even if he's wrong about that, you can still have excellent reason to believe that Christianity is true.
Right. So he believes it's true. And he believes that you can know it's true. But if you don't believe it, at least he says you can have excellent reasons to believe that Christianity is true. Right. Yeah.
So you could kind of think like the idea of, well, what if I prove to you that the God of the Bible exists? Well, would you worship him? Okay, if you proved it to me 100%, and I said, yep, all signs point to yes, no, I wouldn't worship him.
Right.
And honestly, that's what the Bible tells us too. So, we're about there too.
Yeah. All right. The next issue that he deals with after he goes through, so he's done relativism as a misunderstanding, right? Religion is relative. Then he's talked about skepticism. Well, we shouldn't believe anything, right? We have to prove everything and it has to be absolutely certain, right? And, well, that's going too far, right? Do you exist? Right. So the next thing he wants us to do is to deal with this idea of, he asks the question, can you handle truth, right? You can't handle truth, right? So we remember this movie.
Few Good Men.
That's right, where one of the lead characters says this while he's on the stand, right? And, you can't handle the truth. It is classic, right? So one truth that's particularly difficult, he says, for us to accept is the truth is sometimes too difficult for us to accept.
Right, sometimes, yeah.
Right, so that's a particular difficult truth to accept.
Right.
Right. And he says the reason that he mentions this is to drive home the main point of this particular chapter. Ultimately, what we should be aiming for are true beliefs, not beliefs that are merely convenient for us or comfortable or inoffensive or self-affirming. No, we want true beliefs that reflect the way the world and things really are. Right?
Yeah. Who's my mom? Oh, my mom is the person that I can recognize that comes to my house every week. But then I found out that she stole me in infancy and she's not really my mom.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I can't accept that. That would be very difficult. So I should.
So I'm not going to believe
just
that.
Gonna
even though it's true, I'm not going to believe it because it's inconvenient, it's comfortable, it's even offensive, and so no, I'm not going to believe that. Right?
Yeah, I got other things to do.
Yeah. Now that person clearly can't handle the truth, right?
So no doubt, some people believe Christianity simply because they want it to be true. Right? They like what Christianity teaches, or I'm going to raise my kid in the church because I want that person to have a sense of this Western ideology, or I like the potlucks. It gives me a sense of community. The people I go to church with are trustworthy, is something along those lines. By the same token, there are people who don't believe Christianity simply because they don't want it to be true, right? Why have one side of the coin and not the other? Neither stance is intellectually responsible.
Right.
The responsible approach is to consider the reasons for and against the truth of Christianity and to draw the most reasonable conclusions we can.
Yeah, so that's the responsible approach, not, based on my feelings or based on, any other thing. No, it's based on the reasons. Are there good reasons, right? And so what he tells us here is what this book does and doesn't do, right? So what does this book do? And what doesn't it do? Right? What's he trying to accomplish with this book? Well, he says the title of the book is Why Should I Believe Christianity? And he wants to give a basic answer to that question by offering what he thinks are some very good reasons to believe that Christianity is true. Right? That's the basic idea of what he's attempting to do in this book. give reasons to believe that Christianity is true. That's why should I believe Christianity? Here are some reasons, right? However, he says he also wants to say some important things about how one should go about answering that question. Right. How do we answer that question, right? And so he wants us to kind of deal with that as well in this particular book.
You provide the Kalam argument, and then you host on some facts of women at the tomb and the disciples dying for the message, and you just keep harping on evidence and piling it on until the person just can't hold on to it all, and it falls at their feet, and they fall down to their knees.
They fall down to their knees because the burden of the reasons are so heavy, right?
Yeah. Pilgrim's Progress, Christian's burden, it's gone. So one of the points that he'll make in the next 2 chapters is that Christianity isn't merely a lifestyle, a moral code, a social identity, or a set of abstract theological doctrines. It's much more than any of those things. Oh, okay. It is those things, but it's much more than those things. Yeah. Christianity is an all-encompassing worldview, and it needs to be understood and evaluated on that basis. So again, you put on your worldview spectacles. It's how you see the world. And when you look at that piece of fruit, you go, oh, that's red. Well, hold on. How do you know that's red? What is red? What do those things mean? Is the apple real? All these things.
How do you know it's fruit?
Right. Yeah.
Let's see, tomatoes. We won't get it. So he says his overarching goal is to explain with minimal philosophical mumbo jumbo. This is what you were alluding to. Yeah. That's right. Before minimum philosophical mumbo jumbo. What it means to say that Christianity is a worldview, and why we should believe that it's the correct worldview. Right. So that's really what he's trying to get at here, and that's going to be the focus of these various reasons that he's going to kind of work us through. Right. Worldview idea that Christianity is more than just, how I feel about things or whatever, going to church or having various religious beliefs, right? It's a worldview, an all-encompassing worldview. It's our view it should be our view of the world is what he's trying to get at here, right?
And the other point that he wants to underscore here is that this book doesn't directly address the various objections and criticism that people level against Christianity. We've done some of those books before.
So this isn't a defensive book.
Right.
He's not trying to defend Christianity against these various criticisms and objections, right? Yeah.
So your what about questions have to wait for a different book. So this book focuses on the positive side of the truth questions, reasons for believing Christianity.
Now, we should mention that, and he kind of does in this section, that this is, as we said when we first started this book, this is part of a 10-book series, right? And so he says that in the, some of the other books in the series will be dealing with these various objections and criticisms to Christianity. His is a more positive, why we should believe kind of thing.
Like one is, why is there so much evil in the world, or something along those lines. All right. So that's the end of chapter 1. Again, I think this is a decent book for kind of hitting home kind of the outlook that we espouse, that we think is the better one, the one that we should start with. Not saying that we can't use evidence or classical arguments, but if we don't have the correct worldview understanding, our presuppositions laid out, and understanding from the other person's perspective who doesn't believe Christianity is true, that they also come into the conversation with presuppositions and a different worldview, and how we come to talk to each other matters on that important level before we get to things like what is the empty tomb mean? Because again, Jesus rose from the dead. Okay, I can believe that, but Jesus rose from the dead because he was God. That's a different kind of claim. Yeah. You can believe the dead men rise because look, Jesus happened, but why did it happen? That's the type of thing that Christianity wants to answer. It's not just dead men rise, but why do dead men rise?
Yeah. What's the meaning of that? The significance of that?
Right. All right. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. A little shorter episode, but hey, not everything has to be Bart Ehrman and harping down on the banality of evil or the heights of Christian virtue.
Right.
That, again, other books for that one.
Right.
So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Continue to keep checking us out. Go back to our previous episodes. Those are all available on the various podcast sites. CaveToTheCross.com for all your Cave to the Cross needs. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.